I'm well. How are you? Good.
So this is the third night of Kwanzaa,
Yes.
and how have things been going so far?
Well, so far things have been going very well. We've been so pleased to be able to open up the doors to the Shrine of the Black Madonna. We've always been a church that's located and based in the community. So it's always a pleasure to open up our doors to allow brothers and sisters to come in and experience, Kwanzaa here with us at the Shrines of the Black Madonna. Well, Kwanzaa has a tremendous impact. I mean, both in terms of its ability to bring black people together, to give us a time to really focus on those principles that are really germane to sustaining our communities beyond January. So we are able to embrace those principles each and every day of our lives for 365 days, which we try to do here at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Then we can really see the tremendous impact that Kwanzaa has on our lives in terms of being able to empower us to take care of black business, if you will, as really a divine obligation by God. And so Kwanzaa kind of gives us some practical steps and some practical principles that we can live by each and every day. Well, that's interesting because just the other day I was talking to a young man, had to be in his mid-20s, and he kept saying, why is everybody saying Happy Kwanzaa? Like he didn't know anything about Kwanzaa. So I began to share with him about the principles, and not only that, say go ahead on and Google Kwanzaa and see what it means and what it's all about. And I think we give an opportunity to enlighten our brothers and sisters, to expose them to it, because there are a lot of brothers and sisters where Kwanzaa has not been celebrated. Oftentimes here in Atlanta, the Mecca, if you will, of black intelligentsia, the black church and things of that nature, we kind of take it for granted. But there are a lot of brothers and sisters who've never heard of Kwanzaa, so we have a responsibility to just inform them, enlighten them, and make them aware of it. And if we do that, then I think they can begin to understand the significance of Kwanzaa for themselves as principles to live by. Well, I don't think it is, because for one thing, anything that's going to empower us doesn't really get the major publicity that it should. So in that light, I think it's not as practiced, or it's not as well known as it should be, but that's no reason to stop it, because I think if we just take step by step, it'll begin to snowball, and before you know it, the energy that Kwanzaa presents, it'll scoop people up, and they really won't know why, but it's a certain energy that we started just by step by step. Yeah, so the drums, so people are going to get real excited about the drums, and that's the energy of our ancestors that we really thrive on, and people who may not be familiar with it, it's going to speak to them at a totally different level.
I had about 100 more questions to ask you, but I think we'll yield to the entertainment.
No problem. Thank you. God bless.
I'm here with Olatunji, my favorite African historian, as if I know a lot of African historians. But Brother Olatunji, I want to talk to you for a second. How you doing, Rashad?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Great.
Yeah, absolutely not. So I think Kwanzaa not only should be observed by our community, but by every community because it reinforces values, but especially in our community because this was something developed by someone who looks like us, and it connects us back with our culture, our heritage from Africa, and honoring that tradition. You know, in America, there are so many cultures, so many traditions that we can get lost in the melee. But absolutely not. I don't think as many black people know about Kwanzaa. We need to continue to promote, continue to educate.
I guess you answered my next question. You messed me up because I was going to ask about the impact, the potential impact of Kwanzaa, or even value of Kwanzaa to our community.
Well, let me say this. I think one of the most tremendous impacts is having the conversation at home about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a very personal observation. And one of the things I've always believed in is knowledge of self. I truly believe that when black folk especially have a knowledge of who they really are, that if they can look at themselves differently, they look at people who look like them differently. So if we're talking about combating black on black crime, that's how you start. You start by making sure our kids, our people have a knowledge of who they are. And Kwanzaa is one of those ways to reaffirm that value and that culture.
You're stepping all over me, Rashad. My next question was going to be, what are some practical things in your mind that individuals, families, communities can do to make a difference in the lives of our community?
I think I'm sorry, go ahead. I think number one, we have to start looking at them as community. We can't be afraid of those that we want to help. These are our brothers, these are our sisters. If they're on the corner with their pants sagging, if they're hanging out past a certain hour, you have to still love them. You have to still embrace them. So us looking at each other as a collective family, a community, a village, is, in my opinion, the way it starts. Not to become indoctrinated with what everyone else says black people are.
If you were drawing a chart, a trajectory chart that led from our community and our needs and concerns, which way would those lines be going?
They go every which way because we're not monolithic. None of us are monolithic. No culture, no race, no society is. But I believe that there is a collective growth that's taking place. Some of it has to do with an awakening, and some of it has to do with us being able to specifically identify enemy elements that are happening because they are becoming more pronounced day by day.
Rashad, it's always great talking to you.
Always great talking to you, my friend.
I always feel like I'm enlightened when I
Thank you, brother.
Oh, thank you for it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.